Hello and welcome to Same Here,
Me Too. This is our podcast.
where we open up the conversation about life and share our experiences. The raw, the real,
Don't forget the embarrassing.
of course, and all the juicy tidbits of our lives.
Telling our stories and what we've learnt as young women in our 20s. Nothing is off limits. Giving you true life unfiltered.
The podcast that makes you realise you're not alone. Hello and welcome back to Same Here.
Me Too.
I'm your host Naomi.
And I'm your other host, Cora.
What is up?
Hi everyone. So, how's everyone's week been? It's been a weird week here in Brisbane.
Has been a bit, words.
Words Naomi doesn't have today. That's how much of a weird week it's been because we've experienced our second lockdown.
It was a baby lockdown. 3
It's
days.
3 days. Like our last lockdown.
Yep. Baby lockdowns.
There are times where I was like, oh my God, this is so stupid. I can't believe this. And then I'm like, Cora, you've done 3 days. It's fine. I've got family who have been doing it for 3 months. I've got family doing it for 6 months. I'm like, Cora, take it. It's okay.
You're fine. Everything's fine.
Although I didn't have, my housemate was quarantining with her boyfriend. We were locked down with her boyfriend. So I was home alone. And because I was working from home as well, it was just for 3.5 days. It was just me in my house.
It was just you.
It's just me.
Yeah.
It was very interesting.
I can imagine it would be.
Yeah, I went a little bit crazy. Well, I think
She did. I got very interesting photos.
I think there was a message. I think I might have sent Naomi about 12 messages in a row, like dun 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 dun.
Not anything
one word
important.
Answers. One word answers. Like,
Yeah,
hey,
just-
how
yeah.
are you? What's the goss? 411. What's the lowdown?
What's
the
the tea?
stitch? What's the tea? What's the what?
Like pretty much any type of saying that you could come up with to
how
see
are
like
you?
what's going on. Yeah,
I
that
did.
was that.
It was
It was like this is what happens
Yeah.
when Cora starts to lose her mind. It was great. It's a great time to be live.
Well, actually, we've kind of just jumped into the weekly check-in.
We
really,
have.
haven't. Sorry.
So,
Let's
backtrack.
Backtrack.
Weekly check-in.
Weekly check-in. Naomi, besides lockdown, how has your week been?
My week. Yeah, I mean, it's been interesting. It's funny because I spoke to my sister the other day and who lives in Melbourne, and she's like, oh, how's lockdown? I'm like, honestly, I just haven't left the house. So for me, like my boyfriend and I, we did a big shop on Sunday
Yeah.
for the week, expecting to, prepare
Have a normal week.
food for Sam to take to work and all this stuff. And then we went into lockdown on Monday, and I was like, yeah, we've just been hanging out at home. We've upgraded our pillow fort situation.
Okay, it's not a pillow fort. It's like you make like a little day bed. A pillow fort?
It's far more fun to call it a pillow fort. It's all about...
It's a very
playing
glamorous, very exciting, very comfy day bed.
Daybed sounds really adult. I don't like it. I'm going to stick with pillow fort because that's...
You are an adult.
No, thank you. But no, that's like, honestly, I've just been chilling, working, hanging out, and eating food. I bought so much chicken. Like, Sam and I bought food to be prepared for the week, thinking Sam was going to take food for lunch.
Yeah.
And then we've literally bought like mince and chicken and a kilo of each. And we've literally had like mince for lunch, mince for dinner, chicken, mince, chicken. And I'm just like, we need to put some of this in the freezer. I can't have any more. So last night we got burgers. It was great.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So yeah, that's been our week. It's pretty chill.
pretty chill one.
Yeah, we are very blessed. We have now been brought out of lockdown. We've got a few restrictions, but nothing
Yay.
crazy, which is nice just in time for Easter weekend.
Yeah.
Which is good. And yeah, that's pretty much been it. That's the update.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, my week's been similar. Like I said, I was losing my mind ever so slightly because I wasn't talking to humans. But no, I'm actually moving this weekend.
You are?
Moving house. Exciting, but it's also very stressful because it's happened all very quickly. Like the new tenants still haven't been completely signed off. We haven't got a cleaner to clean the flat for our new place when we come out. So it's all really quite quick, and I'm kind of stressing because especially as tomorrow's a public holiday, Monday's a public holiday, and I have to be out by Monday. So I'm freaking out a little bit. So there's a lot of stress, a lot of panicking, a lot of worrying because I'm just like, can things go to normal, please? And I'm very worried I'm not going to get everything done and sorted before the time I need to leave. So freaking out quite a bit, but
It'll be fine.
it'll be fine. I have faith, but still freaking out. So yes, besides me freaking out, and trying to sort everything for the move into the new property. Work has been work. Like I said, it's been quite nice, been quite blessed to have a nice chill. We had, like I say, a chill lockdown. We had 3 days. Wasn't, I think, anything strenuous. However, one of my best friends, Nick, he's getting married in April. He's getting married on the 19th of April over in Perth. So his mum and me are starting to freak out a little bit because at the moment the borders are closed. And his whole family's here, like his mom, his dad, his sister, his niece, his brother-in-law, his grandparents, his auntie, uncle, cousin. We're all here.
And you're all flying over to
And
Perth.
we're all flying over to Perth. So we're all freaking out a little bit because we're like just staring at the restrictions every single day, just checking to see when are we going to get opened? Are they going to open the borders and whatnot? So there's the hope. So everyone put your fingers crossed and prayers that, Queensland turns back into a green zone and we can travel in and out of Queensland and also into Perth without restrictions or anything like that, and it's an easy kind of go across. We can have the wedding and come back. But so that's another thing. So there's a lot of, at the moment, I think my life currently is a lot of uncertainty, and it hasn't helped because I've had a massive breakout in my face, really bad, like really, really bad breakout. Those spots that come underneath under the skin and they just hurt. I've had about 3 of them on my face. A lot of makeup's covering them right now. A lot of makeup.
Does not look that bad without the makeup.
That's the thing is, it doesn't look bad. It's the feel.
It's
painful. Like I can feel they're inflamed because they're warm and they're just, I touch my face and it's like, I wash my face and it's just sore. And it's quite funny because we had this conversation. I think I know why they've come up is when we used to be in my course in my cycle, for like 4 days before I was due to come, my face would just blow up and break out. Like it was hormonal acne that would come out due to, me getting my courses. However,
you've totally taken that on from Bridgerton,
I
haven't
have.
you?
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's so much better than calling it what it is. I just love it. It's great. Anyway. Oh, it's so much more polite than saying
my courses.
Yes, it's my courses. But anyway, but because of my birth control, I don't get periods anymore, or courses anymore. Sorry. But I don't get them.
Now if you don't know what she's talking about and you haven't watched Bridgerton, now you know what she's talking about.
And I haven't, and so for me, I was like, okay, well, why am I getting this, hormone acne? I don't get my courses anymore. It wasn't to name. He goes, your body still goes through the cycle. You just might not be showing it. So I was like, oh, okay. And I didn't know this about my birth control. So it got me and Amy thinking about kind of birth control. So this kind of jumps into this week's episode, which is all around birth control.
Yes, it is.
Because I think it's such a big part of any woman's life. I think every single woman, actually not every single woman, most women will use some sort of birth control in their lives. Not all women, because some women obviously don't use birth control, which is absolutely fine, but most women will use some sort of birth control within their lives. Now, obviously growing up, you know about it. You're told in sex education class,
use protection,
use birth control and all that kind of stuff. And so girls go to the doctors and we say I want to go on birth control. But the first thing we say to our doctors is, I want to go onto the pill. Yep. Now, when I was doing some research on this, is actually, which I didn't know, what was it? There was nearly, hang on.
She's just looking
I'm just looking at my research here.
The research.
Okay, so there's at least, did I write it down? I thought I wrote it down. Yes, there's at least 12 methods of birth control.
Oh, really?
Yeah, exactly.
What?
Exactly. There are 12 methods of birth control. Obviously, some are hormonal, some are non-hormonal.
I'm just thinking in my head. Condoms, pill.
Yeah, I didn't actually write them all down. But
oh no, 6.
Some are long-term, some are short-term, obviously. But they're classified as birth control. They're classified as birth control that will stop you from getting pregnant. So hysterectomy would technically class as birth control.
Oh, okay.
So it does include that in there.
That's so
extreme.
Brutal. Yeah, that is.
But obviously women do get hysterectomies to stop, when they get to a certain age, they don't want any more kids. They have those hysterectomies. Guys will have
vasectomies.
That's the word. I'm like, what's the word called? Anyway, so I thought there's so many methods and I don't know a lot about a lot of them. I know a few. I know more than most girls because I've had to go through a lot of them. So the reason why I want to talk about this is because, as women, we're told, you know, how do we choose the right birth control? We don't really kind of talk about that. You know, we take such a high risk using birth control. And it's like, does anyone really realize that every day when a girl takes a pill, we are giving ourselves hormones, we're giving ourselves more in our bodies that isn't naturally supposed to be there. So we're giving ourselves a high risk of medical problems, really. You know, and what do we really know about birth control? I mean, what do you know about birth control besides it stops you from having babies?
I know that I can't take it. So yeah, I mean, I do know the side effects because I have done, because of my own personal experience, I have done research into birth control because I had to, for medical reasons. I had to look into it. And I do know, you know, it's one of those things. It's almost like the terms and conditions. Whenever you go onto a new website or you read something or you get a new computer, it's, have you read the terms and conditions? And
no
you tick the box and it's like, yes, I have.
Yeah, but no one's actually ever read them.
Yeah, but if you think about, so we'll use the pill for an example. If you take the pill, in that pill box is it's quite thick with tiny, tiny writing, and it's all the side effects that could happen if you take this birth control. Now, this isn't at all, I'm not saying this to fearmonger or anything like that, because each and every one of us as a woman, we get to choose what works for us. And I know lots of women who take the pill, for example, and they're perfectly happy with it. But there are side effects to taking the pill. I know there are side effects to having the coil. I know there are side effects to having
form of birth control.
Implant in your arm.
The injection.
So, yeah, exactly. So there are so many different things that, if you think about, and I go back to the very first time I went in and I said I'd like to get the pill, I don't think we really had a big conversation about the side effects. And it's because it's so widespread, and, you know, women fought so hard for birth control and all of that, which is phenomenal. At the same time, we've now come so far that I think we should be looking into it a bit more. What are we putting into our bodies, and how is it actually affecting us? Because just because it works for someone else doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work in the same way for you. It will still have the same effect of, you won't get pregnant. Again, not 100% foolproof.
Not necessarily.
But for the majority. But yeah, I think we've now, it's a conversation that needs to be had, because there are so many side effects and a lot of women aren't aware of the side effects. And I've spoken to women, I am one of those women who suffered with a lot of issues for a long period of time, and which we'll go into in a moment, but, you know, I went to see lots of different doctors and all of this, and we never found anything. There was nothing medically wrong with me, but I knew something wasn't right. And so, yeah, it's when you start to explore that side of things, what are the side effects of this thing that you're putting in your body, that you just think it becomes second nature.
It almost becomes like women, you think, I'm a woman, I need birth control, I can have the pill because it's designed for women, so I must be fine to have it. And I was very much around that. I was very lucky with me growing up. For most of my life, the pill worked absolutely fine for me. I had no real side effects. My courses were very regular. You know, I just got a bit of acne, you know, just before, like I said, just before my courses, and then I'd be fine. But I know a lot of other women who, you know, and girlfriends of mine who struggled because their pill gave them such an imbalance. They went almost crazy. Not crazy as in like, but like, you know, they were incredibly emotional. You know, their hormones were going everywhere. Their emotions were kind of up and down. Some got, you know, really, really sick. Some got incredibly bad acne. Some, you know, there's just so many different things. You know, weight gain. My girlfriend gained so much weight with the pill she was on. And, you know, so 10 of the most common side effects on pretty much every birth control is spotting between your courses, nauseousness, breast tendency, headaches, migraines.
Tenderness.
Huh?
Breast tenderness.
Tenderness, what did I say?
Tendency.
Tenderness. Sorry. It's been a lot. Tendency. Oh my God, I can't say that word.
Tenderness. Moving on.
Cool. Headaches, migraines, weight gain, mood changes, missed periods, decreased libido, vaginal discharge, eye changes that basically can cause like
hardening of the cornea,
which is a high risk of going blind and getting eye disease. So that's 10. That, and a lot of those actually lead to a lot, more, and a lot of those can affect your life so dramatically.
Yeah.
And if that's a day-to-day, so that every time we take the pill, that's 10 side effects we risk getting. And I think, people, especially guys,
and they're just the most common ones.
Like there's still, like I said, there are 1,000 other ones we don't read about. I don't think any girl reads that little booklet and works out. I mean, but most girls wouldn't. Like if you're 16 years old, we just assume we can take it.
But and I think it's a trust thing. You know, we go to our doctor gives us the information that we need, and that's what we go with. Now, unfortunately, we have to do our own research. We have to look at what our bodies are doing, because nobody knows your body as well as you do. And nobody is going to be able to tell you if something isn't quite right more than you can. Because if you notice there's something off, I'm so like, this is just one of the things that I so truly believe. If you feel there's something off in your body, you are most likely right. Because no one knows your body more than you. Nobody can tell you, oh no, you're crazy, sort of thing. People can, but it's really, like, this is such a delicate subject. The reason I'm like sort of stumbling around what I'm saying is because it is a really delicate subject.
It is.
And it's one that I have struggled with for many years. It's something that I've spoken to other women, I've seen other women struggle with. And I think it's such an important conversation to have, not because I think all birth control is bad. I think birth control is incredible because it has given us so much freedom. Because at the end of the day, men aren't the ones who fall pregnant. Women are the ones who fall pregnant.
Yeah, I mean, it takes two to tango, but we
are the ones who fall pregnant.
Yeah.
Yes, it takes two to tango, but we're the ones who fall pregnant. And as much as, having a baby changes both people's lives, I've had conversations with women who have had children. They say, as much as you think that it will not change your life to a massive degree, having a child will change your life, and it will change your life more than it does your partner's, or change, the child's father's. And that is why birth control is amazing, because we get the choice.
Yeah.
Right?
100%. And I think on that, like, it's when you're saying it affects us, it also affects our body. We put ourselves at such high risk during pregnancy to have so many other things medically go wrong with us. And there's still such a high number of women who die during childbirth. Like, even though people don't, it is still a really high risk. And I think, like I said, putting ourselves in that risk and taking something every day that can cause us to have emotional swings. And, I think so many times I've experienced it in office blocks, when guys go, oh, she's just really emotional today. It's like, but do you understand that we every day, probably, or not every day, but most of our day, we put something in our body that gives us more hormones, which gives us more emotions, which really explains why we're going to kind of mood change. I mean, can you imagine if there was like birth control for men and they were having hormones in them? They'd be, it's like they don't get anything. And it's one of those things where men can't relate and women can't relate to men. It's one of those, it's hard to relate through. But when you are choosing birth control, you do need to really sit down and think. And a lot of birth control, unfortunately, is trial and error to see if that works for you. Like, my girlfriend, she went through about 5 different types of pill to find the one that suits her. I've had girlfriends who have gone through all types of birth control, and it just doesn't work for them. Like, for example. And I think you really need to be very wary of yourself, especially when you're taking it, and don't just go, oh, it's something I have to do and that's just it. You really need to think about it and look at what it's taking you through. I mean, Naomi, obviously you, as you said, you can't have birth control. Now, like, do you mind describing your birth control story?
Absolutely. So for me, I went on the pill when I was 18, and I took the pill, or I tried a couple of different ones from the age of 18 to 23, and that was what I was on for that period of time. Now, at around the age of between 21 to 23, I started to really struggle emotionally. I put on about 20 kilos. I got to a point where I was suicidal. Now, I was going to the doctor. I was getting blood tests. I was like, I could tell something was wrong with me, but I didn't know what.
Yeah.
And I had issues, like I had aches and pains in my body that weren't normal for a 22, 23-year-old. I had headaches. I'd have migraines regularly. I just didn't feel healthy. And, you know, I didn't have motivation. It was basically a very trying time for me. And I went back and forth to different doctors, and, you know, I got put on a different type of pill, and that didn't really work. No one ever sat me down and said, oh, hey, it could be the pill. You know, I did everything else. I got, as I said, the blood test. I got all of that stuff done, to the point where I went to a doctor and she'd heard me speak about all this stuff. And obviously it's quite distressing because you're meant to be a young, healthy 22, 23-year-old, and you're struggling to function as a human. And it's very distressing because I'm just like, I just don't know what's wrong with me. You know, I'm just not okay. And I remember, and I wish I could forget it, but I remember sitting down with this doctor, and I'd been in and I'd had all of my bloods done and everything, was talking to her about the results. And she's like, look, there's nothing wrong in the bloods. I think maybe you should go see a psychologist.
What?
Because it might all be in your head.
Oh, no.
And I sat there and I was like, what? and because what she followed that up with, it's like, everything that you're describing to me, if we actually wanted to go do all the tests to actually see what was going on, it would be so many tests and it would take a lot of time. So maybe you should go see a psychologist.
Nope. I'm sorry.
I walked out of that appointment. I was so destroyed, destroyed. I was just like, I felt like no one listened to me. It was it was just heartbreaking. And I can't even remember how I came to it. And I just thought, you know what? I'm going to go off the pill because I've tried everything else. I've had blood tests done.
It was the final,
it was like,
last-ditch effort.
I wonder if this is affecting me. And I think it was probably after a conversation with my dad, because he's very, very knowledgeable. And we were speaking about it. And that's sort of when I kind of started to look into what the real side effects are of birth control. And I just went, you know what?
This is sounding similar.
And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. No doctor told me to. I was like, it's my body. I'll just take myself off birth control. I was in a relationship at the time. I said to my partner then, I was like, look, I'm thinking about going off the pill. He's like, do what you need to do. The ironic thing is I'm also allergic to latex. So for anyone who is allergic to latex or latex intolerant, there are latex-free condoms. It's the best thing ever because that is now my birth control. But for me, I went off the pill. I think it took me 2 or 3 months to rebalance. And because I went off it towards the end of 2017. Yeah. By 2018, I'd done a full massive switch. Yes, I have to preface that by saying and say a disclaimer, I was really working on my mindset. I was doing a lot of other things as well. I'm not putting this massive shift down on not being on the pill. Also, again, neither of us are doctors. This is just our personal experience.
Yeah, we're not. Seek medical medical advice always.
Yes. So just know that this is just my experience. But the massive shift that I had, I could easily put down. There were things that weren't happening anymore, things that I wasn't feeling anymore. I wasn't reacting like crazy. I just went, I can't do that. So I went and after I'd done this, I'd been off for probably about 6 months. I went to the doctor and I had a conversation with her, and she said, well, look, we could try and put you on a lower hormone because the pill that I was on had quite a high, I think, estrogen
level. Yeah.
And she's like, we could put you on a lower one. And I was like, okay. She said, but if you'll react, and I said, what about other other options? What other
Other birth
options
control,
are there?
other than the pill.
And she said, well, if you're struggling with the pill, none of the others are going to work for you because there's too many hormones in them. So the implant in your arm, the hormones in them are much higher than the ones in the pill. The same with the injections, same with the coil. I know not all coils, but also for me personally, that's not something I'm willing to have because I've had people who I know personally very close to me have very bad experiences with that, and so for me that wasn't an option.
Horror story? Nah.
Yeah. And I did a lot of research into that as well, and for me that just wasn't an option. So basically after this conversation I was like, well, at the time I was single. I've gone through a breakup, I was single, and I thought I'm just gonna let my body do what it needs to do. And since then, that was back in 2017, I have not been on any form of birth control, in a hormonal birth control, I should say, because I just went, no, this is not what I can't put my body through that. And I've toyed with it because obviously I'm in a relationship now, but at the same time, I go,
the risk is too high.
The risk is too high of what happened to me back then, and I know how I react, and I'm quite a sensitive person anyway. I react very strongly to things. So for me, I just go, it's just not meant to be, not for me. Yeah.
That's good. And that's such a unique and interesting story because I think, everyone's birth control story I think would be very different. Like everyone starts off the same. Yeah. When I was 16, 17, 18, I went on the pill and then it kind of...
And we go on it for different reasons. Back then it's like you might have really bad period pain, which was one of the reasons I went on birth control. Yeah. Or some people go on it for the acne.
Makes it worse. So there are different reasons girls go on birth control, and there are different reasons why girls come off birth control. But I think everyone starts with the pill and then work their way around depending on what they want to go for. But for me, so my birth control story is not as eventful as yours, kind of. So I was 17. Was I 17?
I'm sorry, I am 16
going on 17, baby. I think I might have been, I think I was 18 I was 17 turning 18 around that time, because I went on because I had a boyfriend, and so I was like, okay, probably things are getting it serious, so I want to be protected. So mine was purely because I wanted to be protected, and so it was fine. The first pill I was just prescribed. I'm just not doing well with words today, am I?
Speaking of subscribe, those of you watching on YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. So carry on.
Anyway, so my prescription worked fine with me. I took it. I was very religious because I was terrified, because they're like, if you don't take it at the same time every day, it doesn't have the same effectiveness. I was like, no. So I took my pill 8 o'clock every morning. My alarm went off, even on a Saturday, would take it, fall back to sleep. Every single day my pill went off. And I was quite lucky. Like I said, my courses became very regular. I almost could get, knowing when my courses were coming, literally down to the hour.
Wow.
Like I could, okay, in like maybe 2 hour window gap, I was like, okay, between these 2 hours is when she's gonna come. She's gonna come within the next couple of hours, which is great, because I was never caught unawares. I was always prepared, and so I was on that for a few years, and then me and my ex-boyfriend broke up, and so I went, okay. And everyone had told me that you shouldn't be on the pill for a long period of time. You should have breaks to let your body rebalance. And I was on it for 3 years straight. So I was like, okay, maybe I should probably let my body rebalance. Yeah. So when I broke up with him, I let my body do its thing. It was all fine. So when I then got a new boyfriend, so I thought, better get back on the pill. Don't want to get pregnant. So I got back on the pill. And again, it was fine. It was regular. It was easy. It was no worries at all. And then my ex, we broke up, so I thought, give my body a break again. Actually, no, I didn't. Nope, jump forward. Anyway, so it was fine. It was all good until one day, my window didn't come. My course didn't arrive. And I was like, okay, it's a bit weird. A few days, still doesn't arrive. I was like, this is very weird. And I started to get very nauseous, very, very sore. I thought, oh, no, I can't be. I'm on the pill.
Yeah.
I literally cannot be. I take my pill every single morning at 8 a.m. I cannot be. I'm absolutely fine. I don't know what's going on in my body. It's all good. So I let it go. And so I waited 7 days. Nothing had come. I was like, nah, I'm on the pill. It's fine. So I started my course again. So I started my pills again. So I was on one of those that you take it for 21 days.
You go off for 7.
Go off 7 and start again. So I was like, okay, I'll just take it. So I started taking it again. And I started to get really sick. Every morning I was either throwing up or I was feeling very nauseous. I was like, okay, before I go to the doctors, I'm going to just take a pregnancy test.
Yeah.
Now, I took it with all the confidence in the world.
That it would be negative. Because you were on the pill. Like, why?
Exactly.
Yeah, why would that even be something that would cross your mind?
This is a hard story for me to tell because a lot of my family don't even know about this. This is actually quite a hard story for me to tell. So, unfortunately, I looked and I was pregnant. So, bit of a freak out moment. I remember calling my best friend, and I obviously I was in tears. I was so emotional. I was crying. Because at the time it was just a lot for me to take in, because it's a lot to take in when you're not wanting children and you think you're no way on God's earth you can be. It's a lot and it's really hard. So I was like, okay, well, maybe it's a false positive. You hear those stories, it's a false positive. It's like, yeah, totally, it's a false positive. So I went back to the chemist, bought another 2 pregnancy tests, which are not cheap, by the way. Pregnancy tests are expensive. I was like, I'm sorry, what? I think it was like £10. Sorry, that was in England, so £10, about $20.
$20, yeah.
I was like, yeah. So I bought 3 of them because I was so so I was drinking so much like water all evening, and I'm trying really hard just to get like pee out so I can kind of take these tests. Anyway, it did come through and I thought, okay. And I told my partner, he went, that's impossible, you're on the pill. And the 2 of us were like, it's impossible, I'm on the pill.
And you've done everything right. And I think that's why, as you said before, like it came as such a shock. It wasn't that you'd missed it or that,
it was, I was so militant with it. I was and I was like, dun, 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 dun. So for both of us, it was like, no, and you forget the pill is not 100% effective.
Yeah. And
that for me was the biggest wake up call with my birth control, because I was like, okay, actually it's not right. And it was really hard. Luckily for me, unfortunately, my body decided that it wasn't ready for me, thank God. And I did have a miscarriage, and so I didn't have to go through certain things, which was good. And my partner, we did discuss it, but my body had other plans. So that was fine. So when I obviously had to come back on the pill or come back on birth control, I was like, well,
I don't trust it
now. I was terrified because I'm like, well, if my pill doesn't work, a condom isn't going to freaking work. I'm like, okay, well, what else is out there that is 100% effective, that isn't going to get me pregnant besides not having sex? Because I was that's
joining a convent,
being a nun. That is 100%. Yeah. And so I was like, so I started to research really in depth but I wasn't looking at what the birth control did, because I didn't really know what birth control actually did, what it puts in your body. All I know is it stopped me getting pregnant. I didn't actually know what hormones it put in, how it does it, what actually is the mechanics of it from stopping you getting pregnant. Like I didn't actually know what that kind of mechanics was. So I started to look into it in more depth, and I went back and forth. I tried the injection. My body did not like that. I went, like my mood swings were like ridiculous.
I can imagine.
Like my boyfriend, it was so funny at the time though. He came in and I looked at him, I started crying. He's like, why are you crying? I was like, I don't know. It's just everything. And I just had a weep. And then he was like, okay. I was like, I need chocolate. And he went out and got me chocolate and came back, and I yelled at him. I said, why have you got me chocolate? I want to lose weight. Why are you making me gain weight?
Oh.
And he was like, and this poor guy, like I felt like psychotic. I went like, no, oh my God. I think I threw the chocolate at him. I can't remember. It was just, I went crazy. So I was like, no, it doesn't work.
Yep. Let's
cross that one off the
try
list.
Something else.
And so obviously they're like, look, the implant is very similar in terms of the chemical combination as the injection. So if the injection ain't gonna work, the implant ain't gonna work either. So I was talking to my sister. She changed her birth control, and she went on. And so when she was telling me about her birth control, I said, okay, well, why don't I look at the coil? Now, so there's 2 types of coils. There's the copper coil, which has no hormones, as I'm aware. and then there's, which is 3 years, and then there's the 5-year, which is the Mirena, which has the same hormones as the pill. It's like, okay, well, the pill, I know hormonally is fine for me. It didn't do anything crazy. But I was like, what's the difference between the coil and the pill? Why is one almost, I think the coil is, I want to say is 100% effective, or it might be 99.9% effective or something like that. It might be 99.
That's 100%.
I think,
I'm not allowed to say it.
Yeah, I think the coil is like 99% effective, and like the pill is like 95 or 94% effective, something like that. I was like, okay, well, it's a higher chance of this. Like, I'm going to go with it. And the reason they said, look, if you do fall pregnant with the coil, it could be an ectopic pregnancy.
Ectopic.
That one.
Ectopic, yeah.
That one. It's more likely going to be that, so you'd have to have a termination because of that. So, okay, well, this is pretty much almost like guaranteed. That was like, for me, the biggest like stamped guarantee. So I went to the coil, and I've had the coil now for 4 years.
Yeah, I think because
4 years. Yeah, so I've had the coil for 4 years. So I've only got 1 year left on it. Now, it's really interesting because when I got it in originally, for the first few days, I was in so much pain. So much pain. And I bled for a month.
Wow.
I bled for a month. I was in my cramps were painful. It was about a month. It was all very sore. And then it stopped. And I haven't had any bleeding since. I'll have spotting now and then, but it might be like for maybe an hour. But I haven't had a period since then. And that's what I mean by now is my body still goes through my courses, but I'm not seeing it. So I'm not aware of when my body goes through those changes. So one week I'll have really bad, crazy acne, or I'll be craving all these weird things. Like I've been and it's like my body going through its course, but I'm not aware of it because I don't get the reminder that comes at your body. Hey, I'm here. I don't get that anymore.
So having obviously you've had, I love how you said it hasn't been as extensive. It's just been as extensive as mine, if not more so. But like, obviously you know, you've tried far more than I have. Well, you have because I've only ever been on the pill and multiple different ones. But what, in terms of now having used the coil for so long, how do you feel about it? Is it something that you will do again? Is
100%. I recommend it because you don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things where I forget. Like, it doesn't affect your life in any way, shape, or form in terms of, like, I don't have to remember to take anything. There's not that kind of urgency, like, oh my God, I didn't take my pill today. Oh my God, like, I don't have any of that. You know, for me, and like, it's not right for everybody. Like, I know people who have had the coil and they still get, you know, they still get some bleeding, they still get pains, they still get cramps. Like, it's not, like I said, everyone's journey is so different because everyone's body is different. The way we react to hormones is different. And I think,
which is why it's so important for us to explore those options for ourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
With obviously a good doctor, with, you know, all of that advice as well, but exploring it for ourselves, but also because we're so different.
But also talk to people, find the advice, talk to your girlfriends, talk to your parents, aunties, you know, female cousins, sisters, any female in your life, talk to them, find out what their experience was, because I think that sometimes when we don't talk about it, and, you know, the experiences that we have when we're on the pill or on birth control, you know, we can sometimes forget that it's our birth control giving us like weight gain.
We have no idea.
We forget. And I think everyone, because no women look at the terms and conditions of the of the birth control, they don't know the side effects. So they don't know if they're gaining weight, that's actually a side effect. If they're feeling nauseous, that's a side effect of the pill.
Getting regular migraines.
They just think, oh, something's happening with my body, but they can't place it. So if you talk to other people, then you're more likely to go, oh, you had that journey with your birth control? Okay, that sounds very similar to mine. Maybe I'm having the same problem or a similar problem. Yeah. So I think, you know, with birth control, don't think that the pill is the only birth control out there, for starters.
Yes, number one.
Number one. Don't think that's the only one out there. Definitely talk to your doctor in depth. Really kind of explore. If you have to go through different birth controls, that's fine. And don't be ashamed of that. Because I think I've known girls going, oh, I'm on a different pill again. And yes, it's frustrating, but it's not anything to worry about because our bodies are all different. Yeah. And that's okay too. And, you know, and it's such an important part of life, but it's also such a high risk that we need to pay more attention to it because we do put our bodies, like for example, that one of the most common symptoms is eye change, which can lead to eye disease, which can lead to you being blind. It's like, okay, that's taken to the extreme, but still, that is a risk. That is a risk.
However small, it's still a risk.
And guys don't have that. I mean, they have other risks in life, but they don't have something they're taking every single day that could give them basically, it's like, you could make me blind, but I'm still going to take you. Here we go. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is. I think the other thing, just while we're on the topic of, you know, not feeling ashamed or anything like that, for those of you who can't take birth control, hormonal birth control, like myself, if you're in a relationship with someone and in a heterosexual relationship, know that it's okay to have that conversation. And because I know for myself, when I went off the pill, obviously it was a conversation I had with my partner at the time, and he was like, look, it's your body, you need to do what's right for you, which was fantastic. He was very supportive in that way. But when I came into a new relationship, in my mind I went, oh, okay, I've got to have that conversation. And there was a part of me that goes, oh, it's so inconvenient, which is so funny, it's like asking a guy to wear a condom. You feel like it's an inconvenience. And I'm, again, very blessed to have an incredible human as a boyfriend. And I've spoken to him about it. I'm like, oh, well, I've been thinking maybe I should go explore getting birth control or going on the pill. And he's literally looked at me going, but it's really bad. Like, your body reacts really badly. And he's been the one to turn around and say, you really don't have to.
Yeah.
He's very excited for when we do start trying for children.
Many years down the line, though.
Yeah, but he's just it's not something to be ashamed about, and it's something that it is your health. And that's
the big one.
That's the big one. Like, it's your body, it's your health. You have to live inside this body, and you get to pick. Yeah, you got to pick what feels right for you and be okay with that. Like, it's why we did this episode, so that we've both had this. When Cora and I first spoke about this, like last year at some point, it was like, oh, I can't take hormonal birth control. And Cora's like, oh my gosh, why? And then Cora told me about her experience. I'm like, I had no idea, so you get to explore this. And I suppose we really wanted to shine a light on this topic so that if even just one of you listening goes, oh my gosh, I've been experiencing some of those things that Naomi said, or, I've been experiencing some of this, like things that Cora said, that you know, oh, okay, maybe I'll just go and explore that and have a conversation
with my doctor,
your doctor or loved ones. Like
loved ones.
Yeah. So that was really the essence of today. And I suppose we're almost at the end. We're almost going to wrap this up. But again, we just wanted to shine the light on it, be like, it's not just one way or the highway. There are so many different options that we all get to explore, and just know that you're definitely not alone in 100%. This bizarre journey that we take as a woman.
And also, as like I said, we wrap this up. Just remember to take note of your body and what your body and the changes your body's making, and maybe read the side effects. All right, guys.
Yes. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone.
Hopefully this helped you all. Don't forget, if you are listening to this on if you are listening to this, not watching this, listening to it, don't forget to subscribe and download this platform, as well as give it a follow. If you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to give this video a like and a subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so you don't miss out on any episodes that we launch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, everyone, and we'll speak to you next week.
Have a great Easter. Oh, wait, no, it'll be after Easter when we release this episode.
It will be.
Realised. So I hope you all had a good Easter. And we'll talk to you next week. Thanks so much, guys.
Bye.
Bye.